Hi folks, Dr. Robert Barrington here with some more nutrition advice. Now this video is going to be about dairy products, and in particular it's going to be about yogurt and how yogurt is a healthy food that can actually aid with fat loss. Now the first thing to say is I know that milk and talking about dairy products is a very contentious issue. There are many nutritionists, and there are only people that are interested in nutrition that feel that milk is a food that is perhaps unhealthy and humans should not drink cow's milk. I don't subscribe to those opinions, and I think that as part of a healthy diet, if you're not intolerant to milk and you are able to digest it correctly, I think that milk does play a part in and plays a role as part of a healthy diet. Having said that, milk should always be part of a healthy diet. It should be balanced with other foods, and dairy is not just about drinking milk. There are other products that are made from milk that can be part of a healthy diet, such as cheese and yogurt, and this video is really about the benefits of yogurt. So I don't want to get too much into the debate about whether milk is a good food or not. There are many studies that have looked at the benefits of dairy foods, and there are quite strong associations between consuming dairy foods and health. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that milk is a very beneficial food, because dairy foods are, that encompasses a number of different types of foods, including cheese and yogurt. It could be that the cheese and the yogurt is actually having the effect when you look at dairy as a whole. But it's very clear that yogurt does appear to have some very interesting weight loss effects, and that's really what I wanted to talk about in this video. And I think the evidence is fairly consistent in the nutritional literature. So if we have a look at calcium, first of all, calcium is a very interesting nutrient, and I wanted to just talk briefly about calcium and how it relates to fat loss. When you have a calcium deficiency or a low calcium diet and your body's not receiving enough calcium, what tends to happen is that your levels of a vitamin D metabolite called 1,2,5-dihydroxyvitamin D, which is also called calcitriol, levels of calcitriol increase in your blood, and this calcitriol acts as a hormone in your blood. And one of the things it does is it goes into fat cells, adipocytes, and it locks on to nuclear receptors on the DNA, and it causes changes in the cells. One of the main things that it does is it prevents the breakdown of fatty acids from adipocytes. So adipocytes, fat cells, are where fatty acids are stored, and your body is in constant balance. It's breaking down and building up those fat cells. If there is a high level of 1,2,5-dihydroxyvitamin D, calcitriol, and low levels of calcium, this calcitriol goes into the cells and it prevents the breakdown of these fatty acids, so they stay in the adipocytes. That at the same time, this calcitriol also signals the adipocytes to stop utilizing fatty acids as a source of energy. So less of the fatty acids are passed to the mitochondria to be oxidized, and therefore what the overall effect of a calcium deficiency and increased levels of calcitriol are to prevent the breakdown of fat in your fat stores. So one of the things that a calcium deficiency can do is it can actually lead to weight gain. And this is relevant because many studies have looked at the weight loss effects of taking calcium supplements, increasing the calcium levels of human subjects. And very consistently, those people who supplement with more calcium they experience weight loss effects, fat loss effects. So what we're saying here is that calcium is not a fat burner. It won't burn fat if you have adequate levels of calcium. But if you have a calcium deficiency, you impair your ability to utilize the fatty acids in your fat cells correctly, and that can lead to weight gain. If you then replete your body with calcium by taking a higher intake of calcium, your levels of calcitriol will fall, that will remove the inhibition of the breakdown of fatty acids from your adipocytes, and will remove the inhibition of the oxidation of those fatty acids, and you will start to go back to your normal metabolic processes of utilizing fatty acids and oxidizing them. Therefore, you lose weight over time. When we say weight, what I'm really meaning is you're losing body fat. So a calcium deficiency can cause you to gain weight, and repleting yourself with calcium can cause you to lose that weight. And this is where we come to yogurt. Calcium, this is a consistent finding in the nutritional literature that calcium causes a fat loss effect. But what is also a consistent finding is that when you look at the calcium that is in yogurt, it appears to have an even more beneficial effect than calcium as a dietary supplement, as a tablet. And therefore, yogurt may have, as well as the fact that the calcium may have these weight loss effects, there are other factors within the yogurt that may cause fat loss. It's not really fully understood why yogurt has this effect, but there are consistent reports that when you compare calcium against the calcium in yogurt, the yogurt always seems to have beneficial effects. So yogurt has a weight loss effect. Yogurt has a weight loss effect that is superior to calcium on its own. Now this is very interesting. What could the mechanisms be whereby this occurs? Well, if we have a look at yogurt and why it's a healthy food, let's compare yogurt with milk. Obviously, yogurt is made from milk. Milk is taken from a cow, and that milk is certain bacteria added to that milk, such as Streptococcus thermophilus. Various species of lactobacillus. They're added to the milk, and they start to utilize the lactose in the milk as a source of energy, and as a byproduct they create lactic acid. That lactic acid curdles the milk, which is what thickens it, and it also gives yogurt its acidic flavor. If you eat natural yogurt, it's quite an acidic food, and that's the byproduct, the lactic acid within the yogurt. Now, yogurt is a very good food for culturing your gastrointestinal tract. It contains bacteria, it contains live cultures. You can kill those cultures by heating them, but generally if you eat live yogurt, there is various lines of reasoning and various lines of evidence to show that you can alter the type of microorganisms that you have in your gut, and that occurs not only because there are bacteria within yogurt, but also because generally the yogurt and the things within the yogurt, the components within the yogurt, can act as food for certain bacteria in your gut, which then increases their proliferation. So there's a good line of evidence that yogurt will actually change your microbiota in your gut. And what it does is it changes the microbiota to one that is beneficial. And there's increasing evidence that part of your health, a large part of your health, comes from how healthy your gut is. Those people with the healthiest gut bacteria, and again, it's not fully understood what profile of gut bacteria is classified as being healthy, but there are certain species of bacteria that are known to promote health, and there are certain species that are known to promote disease. And the further you move away from the ones, the profile of the bacteria that promote disease towards those that promote health, generally the healthier the person becomes. So one of the lines of reasoning is that yogurt actually provides a general health benefit because it's such a good food for your gut bacteria. It's such a good food to allow you to have a beneficial profile of gut bacteria. Those gut bacteria are intricately involved in producing not only nutrients for you, but also removing certain nutrients that you don't want to absorb. They're very important, and I'll give two examples of things that gut bacteria can help you with. Firstly, gut bacteria are very good for digesting polyphenols. They digest polyphenols to simpler phenolic acids. Those phenolic acids are absorbed into your circulation, where they have antioxidant effects. Proanthocyanins, for example, these are present in cocoa and chocolate. They're very large molecules. They're polymers of catechins. They're generally too large to be absorbed in your small intestine. They pass into your colon. They're broken down into smaller phenolic acids, which can be absorbed, and then those phenolic acids act as antioxidants in your body. And it's known that those people with the highest levels of antioxidants have the lowest levels of body fat. So there's one mechanism whereby yogurt could benefit weight loss. Another way that gut bacteria are beneficial is that they can produce short chain fatty acids, and these short chain fatty acids are absorbed, and these short chain fatty acids are produced from the dietary fiber that you consume. They're absorbed and then they go into the liver, and they can have lipid changing effects. They can improve your metabolic profile in your liver and how the enzymes are working. And they can lower bad cholesterol. They can raise HDL, the good cholesterol, and they can give you a better lipid profile. So these short chain fatty acids are beneficial as well. So the gut bacteria is known to produce these health effects, and obviously yogurt is a food that is going to allow you to facilitate having a healthier gut profile. So that's another reason why yogurt may have weight loss effects. It may just be simply making you healthier through providing you with a healthy gut. So there is more than the calcium in yogurt. And these are consistent findings. And something that's interesting about yogurt, which I've always found fascinating, is that the vast majority of the population of the world are lactose intolerant, and they can't drink large amounts of milk. This relates to the fact that we generally, when we're very young, we have the enzymes, and we produce the enzymes lactase to be able to break down lactose, which is the sugar in milk. And this is important because we're mammals, and as youngsters we drink milk, so we need that enzyme. As we get older, a large percentage of the population of the world loses the ability to produce that enzyme in large enough quantities, and therefore they can't digest lactose. The lactose goes into the colon. The lactose is fermented in the colon by gut bacteria, and this causes gas, and this leads to flatulence and all of the problems associated with bloating and all of the other problems associated with lactose intolerance, which can be fairly uncomfortable. And those people, when they drink too much milk, they overload their body with the lactose, and that leads to the lactose intolerance. Now, it's very interesting that although a large percentage of the population of the world as adults are lactose intolerant, it's generally only Western Europeans and people descended from Western Europeans that actually still produce into adulthood the lactase enzyme. When you look at studies that have investigated the benefits of yogurt on lactose intolerance, what you find is that firstly, people who are lactose intolerant can tolerate yogurt even though they can't tolerate milk. Now, yogurt still has some lactose in it, but it appears not to be detrimental. And that might be understandable because the amount of lactose would be less, because some of that lactose would have been converted to lactic acid. So that would be understandable. You'd expect somebody who is lactose intolerant to maybe be able to withstand yogurt rather than milk. But what's very interesting is if you give yogurt with milk to people who are lactose intolerant, they're actually able to tolerate the milk. A lot of these studies have looked at the way that yogurt interacts with these enzymes that we produce, like lactase, and it's not really fully understood why yogurt has this protective effect. So what I really wanted to end on, as well as saying, reminding that yogurt is a very good, very healthy food. It does have weight loss effects. It does appear to have these weight loss effects that are superior to calcium on its own. The health benefits of yogurt are not really fully understood. There appears to be something about the fermentation of milk that when you're creating yogurt, that takes something that perhaps a lot of people can't drink to a food that is actually quite beneficial and quite widely eaten throughout the world. Yogurt is certainly part of many of the traditional diets of very healthy populations around the world. It's certainly part of the Mediterranean diet. And when you take this, this food, this cow's milk, and you curdle it and you produce yogurt, you're taking a food that perhaps is not tolerated by a large percentage of the population of the world, to actually quite a healthy food. And therefore, I just wanted to end on this, that when you talk about dairy products and you say, okay, dairy products should not be, or they should be part of a healthy diet, I think it is very important to distinguish between milk consumption and yogurt consumption. And I think this is where a lot of the associations between dairy and health actually come from. Dairy products are usually grouped together in these associations. So, for example, there is an association between consuming dairy products and having a low body weight. In other words, many studies have looked at dairy consumption, and those people that consume the most dairy tend to have the lowest body weights. Now, that's very interesting, but not many of these studies actually differentiate between the different groups of dairy. I would suggest that when you look at the evidence, what you tend to find is that it's not dairy that has this association, but it's actually yogurt. Yogurt is clearly a weight loss food. It clearly, taking yogurt and replacing other foods in your diet for yogurt increases your calcium intake, and it has this additional weight loss effect on top of that, which could be something to do with the fact that it's very good at providing you with these very healthy profiles in your microbiota. Yogurt has this additional effect as well, and I think this is what's driving these associations between body weight and dairy consumption. And there's many studies, for example, that have looked at blood pressure. There are many studies that have looked at general health, mortality with dairy foods, and generally dairy foods, those people that eat dairy foods generally are more healthy. They have lower body weights and they have lower rates of mortality. Generally, they have lower rates of disease. I would suggest that some of that possibly could come from the fact that yogurt appears to be a very healthy food, and it certainly could be. There's certainly the weight loss effects and the association between body weight and dairy could be explained by the consumption of yogurt. I have got some information for those people who want to read a little bit further on this. I've got a review paper on milk that I will put a link to in the comments box below this video, and I've also got a paper that looks at the weight loss effects of yogurt and calcium, which is quite interesting if you want to read further on that topic as well. So I hope you found that interesting. Yogurt is a weight loss food if you if you can tolerate it, if you're if you've wanted to incorporate it as part of a food in a healthy diet. I think that would be a very good idea. As always, eat well, stay healthy, and protect yourself, and I will see you soon for another video. Take care.